Hello, everyone, and welcome to State of the Realm, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. This week, we've had a week with Bozja, whatever the heck you want to call it, and we're going to talk about lore. If you missed last show, we had Sofia on to talk about first impressions, and I'm sure it'll continue to be a topic as the times go forward and we approach patch 5.4. But for now, we've got some lore to unpack, so I think you already know who's going to be here. I'm here, no one cares. Sly's here, people care, and Ethys is here.
Meh.
And Ethys is here, and everyone's like, yay!
Yay!
Yay! The guy who makes everyone else feel like idiots. Not on purpose.
Someone to explain the 50,000 words worth of info dumps that we've got in the last week.
Yeah, I'm sure Koji has a fun time with those.
Oh, jeez. Well,
Woo!
it's not Koji, it's Matsuno.
But I mean, he's part of localization. He's part of local, yeah.
Yeah.
So he still has to.
Actually,
Yeah.
Can we start with that? There has been what I can only suspect to be a localization issue between patches.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys pick this up? So in 5.25, and in the live letter preceding 5.25, we were calling Castrum Lacus Lator Alamut Castle, named after the Iranian Alamut Castle, the headquarters of the Hashashin from the 11th century, which was we talked about this cult of assassins that were manipulating political events and stuff like that. They were taken out by the Mongolians, but they're like where you start in the first Assassin's Creed game. That's Alamut Castle. It's like the basis for the Assassin's Creed franchises, that sort of mythology and all that. And we saw a lot of references to that in the design of Bozja and the design of the castrum, Alamut, which has now been renamed to Alermuck between patches. And all of the previous references to Alamut have been changed to Alermuck, but they haven't changed in the Japanese. They're still using the kana Alamuto, I think. Alamoto? Something to that effect. And there's one other. There's Leon was previously spelled Lion.
Yeah, that one
changed
I know.
to Lyon. Yeah, and there's confusion about the rem and sas thing, right? You guys remember?
No. There's an answer to that. There is, but it's not clean. Yeah, so we were first told that Menenius Rem was the second in command, and we were like, oh, that's confusing. He must be using like a non-traditional command structure because it's normally the Sus that's second in command, whereas Rem is a low rank. And we've got Marsak saying, I've got it here. That Leon was demoted from Sus to Rem, and the Menenius was promoted from Rem to Sas, but even in some of Marsak's dialogue, they're still like getting the two mixed up. Sometimes they'll call Leon Ren, sometimes they'll call him Leon Sas, and I guess we can kind of explain this as like, oh, it's a war zone, their intel's not very good, their main like intelligentsia turned out to be an enemy operative, spoilers. And then maybe she's just really good at counterintelligence. But this is the first time since the Phlegathon Acheron thing that was changed in 2.3 that we have been able to see like the threads in the narrative so clearly. And I think it's a localization issue because we know that like normally for MSQ and pretty much everything, you write the English, you write the Japanese side by sides. And the localization is sort of done by like combining the two. Whereas this seems like Matsuno has just written like a novel and just given it to Koji, and Koji is like, okay, all right. Yeah, and they've implemented what they implemented in 5.25, and they decided like some things that were they didn't want to be localized that way. The one that really bothers me is Alamut. I can't. So I have to imagine, the only thing I can imagine is because it's a real place, they've decided to shift away from it, you know? Because that mattered with Dunskaith, right? Well, yeah, I mean, Dunsky is it different? Like, it's a mythological thing. It's ruins. Alamut is the same. They're like these ruins in Iran that this sort of like cultural heritage, but they're nothing, as far as I understand, that has any particular like modern contemporary like religious significance, which I think would be like the only potential issue. But maybe they've tried to move away from like that directly for some like cultural sensitivity issues, but I don't know.
So thanks everyone for tuning in to State of the Realm. Before we start the show, I got to shout out our sponsors.
Please.
Thank you to SteelSeries for sponsoring this week's episode of State of the Realm, as they always do. Last month's giveaway ended. I'll pull the winner off. Either I'll pull it before the end of the show, or I'll pull it off stream and I'll contact the winner. There'll be a new giveaway under this video on YouTube. Enter it. It's free stuff to win from SteelSeries, or use a discount code and buy stuff for yourself. Or wait till Black Friday and then buy it, but still use the link. Do it. You don't have to. It's fine. Thank you to them for sponsoring. Also, thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon, whose names are scrolling in the top right, and I will give them a longer shout out later, because there's actually a few that popped up this morning that I need to add to that list. Might as well give them a shout out when the time comes a little bit later. So now we can start talking lore, all right? About 8 minutes into the show.
I've been pulling my hair out. Like,
Well, clearly not looking at how much is on your fucking head, but...
Oh, you should have seen it a couple days ago. I'm just having there's so much here, and I'm having so much trouble reconciling it. We know more about. Let me just take one of these random names. Hernes Pierlongus. We know more about him than we know about Y'shtola. Like, what the heck, Matsuno? This is too. I love it, but this is so much to get our heads around.
Yeah, Matsuno is like, listen, until they let me make Tactics 2, I'm not fucking around anymore. All right, until I can finally whip that book back out that he brought to that one live letter. He's like, I'm gonna write as many novels as I can. Doesn't he own his own company on top of this, and he's writing all this shit? Doesn't he own his own development studio or something?
I don't know, actually. I remember hearing something about that.
Yeah, he hasn't worked at Square Enix. He stopped working at Square Enix in the middle of 12's development.
Yeah, he did.
I could have swore he was like...
Let me find that for you.
But he's just going nuts here.
Here we go. He founded a planning, screenplay, and production-oriented company named Algebra Factory in 2016.
Yeah.
During this era, he was hired by Square Enix to produce Return to Ivalice. So he's made this company but hasn't done anything with it.
Well, I mean, founding it doesn't mean it does anything.
Yeah.
Like, I founded my Twitch channel, but I mean, look at me.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So, he's done that.
Yeah. He hasn't done anything. He's got something in development.
So it seems.
A Kickstarter called Unsung Story.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. He submitted the story. That's a disaster. We don't want to talk about Unsung Story.
Yeah.
I was a backer of Unsung Story. That's a disaster. We don't need to talk about right now.
Development had been stopped for lack of resources. Yeah, so he made this production company. He hasn't done anything with it.
Well, that explains why he has all the time to write all this lore about these fucking characters and Ivalice and Dalmasca and everything. I do wonder how much of what he's written here would have played into anything he had done with Ivalice in the future, because he went really, really ham on absolutely every aspect, which, again, I'd like to point out, I really feel like they should have highlighted more that Matsuno is returning to write this instead of talking so much about Yoko Taro with the Nier series.
Yeah, of course. This is way more interesting. It's a much better story.
Low bar, but, you know.
And a much better story than Eureka, for that matter.
Yes, by and far. I felt like that was true, even with just the first hour to hour and a half we had back in 0.25. Some of it was just confirmation of things we already knew, but there was a lot of lore splaining, even in that like short time frame as we were introduced to the Resistance and Mikoto's involvement in it, which is now starting to make a whole lot more sense, as we'll talk about in this little chapter here. So Ethys, we did a show with just general thoughts on Bozja on Friday. You've done this before. You know that we like to give the guests, obviously you come on to talk about lore, but obviously you have thoughts on the content itself. So take a little section here to give your impressions on it, and then we'll get started talking about the story.
I'd say two major things, two major like takeaways for me are two things that I want in like just all other content, like open content in subsequent expansions. One is the skirmishes and critical engagement, something like that in open world content, I think would be phenomenal. I think that the feeling of Bozja is like what Yoshida perhaps had in his head for Northern Thanalan. It's like we want a war zone. We want this feeling of like a dynamic war zone, and I feel like they've really like nailed that sense. I also think back to talks leading into A Realm Reborn about the idea of having like primals as world bosses. That is something that could be handled like critical engagements as well. And that would be really, really cool to see, if you're just like questing in Uldar and you get this notification of someone's, the Amalshar summoned Ifrit in the Sargoli Desert, like get your butt down there and engage with it, and then other people kind of questing around can like see that. It makes the world feel alive and dynamic and stuff like that. It'd be really cool. The second is obviously the lore logs. I've been asking for the longest time for something like the lore delivery system in Elder Scrolls, where you go around and you collect books and you have them and you can display them on bookshelves in your house or whatever. This is, the closest we've had to that, and having these collectibles is something we should have everywhere in the same way that we've got Orchestrion rolls and triple triad cards. Give us these little lore dossiers. It's stuff that I would certainly be grinding. And then again, let me like be able to physically like put them on a bookshelf in my player housing and make my own little library. That's what I want. That's my two like major takeaways. Other than that, Castrum's great. As a more approachable version of Baldesian Arsenal. I really like it. People are frustrated that it's quite difficult to get into, and you have to like sit in the instance and hang around. And we know that the next one in 5.45 presumably is going to be more like approachable. You'll be able to queue in it from outside the instance, I think I said.
Well, I don't think they've ever explicitly said that, but it's almost implied in a sense that it'll be more approachable.
For Delubrum?
Yeah.
Delubrum approachable?
I think that's what they would
that's what normal mode is for. Normal mode is for that. The thing is, the numbers 24 and 48 add up to the current cap in the Bozjan zone.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not really 100% confident that it's going to be queuable from the outside. But it would. But given that we can't queue into Bozja itself as a group of 48 and then queue, I feel like it kind of has to be from the outside for that to make sense.
You can. There's a little bit of wizardry that you have to do.
There's no way they're like, we made this system for 48 people to get in pre-mades, but by the way, sync up your queues in Discord and hope that you land in the same instance.
Yeah, it takes a bit.
we did that for BA. I don't think that's going to be part of the frustration of Delubrum, because why else would you make it require all these pre-made parties and shit?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then on top of that, if everyone in the zone was all 72 people are doing the instance, if it was 24 and 48, and it was then all of a sudden the zone's just like, okay, I guess I'm here for no reason at this point.
Those were my major takeaways that I think weren't sort of very thoroughly and explicitly covered by you guys last week, I guess.
How's your dual luck?
How is my what now?
Dual
luck.
My dual lock.
Luck? Like as in how lucky?
Oh, luck. Oh, right. No, you just got me a little bit of a Joyzy there. Terrible. I've done one with old what's his name?
Sartavois.
Yeah, Sartavois. Yes.
His last name is Soranus.
Yeah, Soranus. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I had a Soranus when he was done with me.
I knew it was coming. God damn. Okay.
Yeah, I did him blind today, and
Well, it sounds like he did you, based on
he did me.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he was
Boy,
blind though.
this is gonna be a good
I
show.
think he already knew all of my mechanics before we went in. He didn't seem to have much trouble. Yeah, he got me with the tornado. He smacked me with the tornado. Feels bad, man. So that was good. Okay, speaking of Soranus, is he related to the twins?
That's what I was wondering.
Because it didn't say anything in his log. As soon as I saw his name, I was like, oh man, I got to see that log. So I got to see how he's related to the twins. The twins, I don't think the twins are Ellison. I don't think they are.
No, I'm pretty sure
We've
they
never
are
seen
not.
their faces. We've never seen their faces.
Yeah, well, their skeletons use here females, as far as I know.
Yeah, they're not even using like the regular Garlean skeletons. They're using just Midlanders. So I'm a little bit confused about that, considering he is, I think he's from Landis, isn't he?
He sure is. I can't pronounce the name of the place he's from. It's made up. I don't know how to pronounce it.
He is from. Let me see if I can.
It's a really long name. It's like Mana. It's like Manahuit or something.
Manathewo.
Manathewo. There you go. Yeah, that's
Manathewo. Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yes, he is a mage knight, so a battle mage, effectively, from Manathewo, which was a Dalmascan? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a city in Dalmasca. And basically, rather than bringing that cadre of battle mages into the Imperial army, they decided to, burn them to the ground. And a couple of them, escaped and survived living in secret in Recluse, including this guy. And then Bush just kind of rolled up and was like, hey, check out my bulging pecs. And Sardavar was like, oh man, you're not even carrying a sword, and I could tell that you're just like really
That's how you know. I mean, realistically, Soranus is probably just the name they get after they join.
Oh, right. So it's like an epithet for people that were recruited by Bash.
Yeah, there you go. Well, by the army, it's like a rank, like Sauce and Ram.
So he didn't want to join. They had to ask him like several times, and then they stopped asking him nicely, and he subsequently became a Soranus.
There you go.
When Bash stopped asking him.
Well, no, willingly, because he saw Bosch without his armor on, and he's like, I need some of that.
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's better. That's better.
Yeah, that's the happier timeline.
That's a compelling.
We're just starting, Sly.
We are just.
There's so much text we need to paraphrase. All right, Sly.
Oh God. Yeah. There's way too much here.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay.
Do you want to?
Ethys.
Yeah.
Before anything else, did you have a favorite skirmish critical that you were a big fan of?
Not really. I kind of really like all of them. I mean, the red chocobo was, just a great meme. But honestly, maybe the undead behemoth I thought was really interesting. I just really liked just kind of taking all of them. There was so much variety. And they weren't just like, face rolling, S ranks or fates. They were actually like, they required a little bit of thought, a little bit of coordination. I think they sort of tuned them really well. So I don't think I do have like explicitly a favorite. That's a lot of toilet paper for you, Soranus.
That's not toilet paper. That's
it's paper towels.
Mel just came in. I got you a present.
Picker upper.
I got you a present, and it's this. and just threw it on my floor and walked out.
That's nice.
So Hap is the next bounty ad on Twitch, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
The quicker picker upper.
Why is that a gift for me? We use them around that. We both use them around that. Why is that a gift for me?
Maybe do you
don't
spill
know.
a lot of stuff?
No.
Yeah, I was about to ask.
No, I don't. But I do
Yeah, every
use them.
battle station needs bounty.
I do use them sometimes to like dry his cat bowl or something. Like instead of like using the hand towel or something, because I don't want any like cat food on the hand towel or anything. You know.
Yeah.
So I guess that. Or when when Aloha throws up. I guess that's probably when they see the most use.
Yeah.
Because he's an asshole. I was surprised you didn't say Lofi. Chad brought up, I thought you were going to say Lofi was a favorite with the Monoceros.
I like that. You know, that was interesting. But no, I don't think like the engagement was anything like standout. I think I've only done that one once.
Really? Lucky you. I've done it so many times I can't even fucking count. I wonder why the Empire is like, that thing can kill undead. How should we beat it? Throw an undead at it.
Yeah, that'll work.
We understand exactly how this thing works, and I know that we can't beat it like this, so let's go.
Yeah, they're not very bright, are they?
I mean, the fourth is as bright as they
really.
come, as far as I'm concerned. So we should probably we've dived into like lore logs and everything already a little bit.
Yeah.
But let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture here, because it kind of it starts off feeling very Eureka-y for this patch, in that essentially every time you go back to do a quest, you get a little bit further, or you open up a new zone, and here's an NPC you can talk to that'll teach you how to appraise this item, or lock boxes, or whatever. But between all those little bits, we start getting inklings of like what's actually happening while we're doing all this, because like while we're actually pressing up towards the castrum, there's another sequence of events that's happening in tandem with this that goes. It's largely set up and then goes unnoticed by the team, and then it all comes to a head by the time all is done. So the big thing here is Mizya, I think her name is, who back in the previous part was pretty much the person who put the idea of bringing back Gunhildr's blades in the first place.
Yeah, she's an archaeologist. She studied at I don't know if she studied at the Imperial Magitek Academy. I don't know if they handle archaeology, but it was certainly somewhere in the capital. She studied ancient archaeology. And you're right, she was the one that planted the idea in Basharshan's head to pursue the Queen's blades. And, obviously was working up towards this the whole time. But the crystal focus is kind of like the driving fulcrum for our like push towards the castrum, as we're trying to get access to these ethereal streams that resonate with a particular frequency, which we need to charge the crystal focus. We're trying to identify a certain frequency, because the crystal focus needs to be. Oh, geez, she did the whole like NRR type, bloody thing again, and Sid wasn't there to tell her to explain it to us like we were 5.
Yeah.
So
every time, Makoto, every time.
It's not impenetrable, but it's certainly esoteric. But yeah, that was basically it. We're trying to find a reservoir with suitable stores of ether to charge the focus.
Can I ask what might be a stupid question?
Sure.
We'll talk about it a little more later, but Firelight's coffin is right there, right?
Right at the south.
Is there not just a bunch of over-aspected ether there and crystals like we did with back in 2.5 when we were gathering ether? Is that not eligible?
Yeah. No, because it's not like it's not that we need a place of like high ethereal density. or a place with like a certain aspect. It's a certain like resonant frequency. So it's not about the amount of ether or the element of ether, right? It's about the like the bandwidth of it. It's more about the like ether of like mind and memory, and basically stuff that's conducive to that.
Only
and boy does that
Imperials
backfire.
seem to have that.
Yes. So the way we're explaining, we're using these spectrometers, large ether currents we're tracking, like giant rivers fed by streams, different kinds of ether. We need to pick out a specific one we need. So it's not just like, we need someone with a shitload of ether to charge this thing. It's a very, very specific frequency that we need to isolate.
And Mizya needs that frequency. Very exactly that frequency.
Yes.
They use Mizya at first to also explore a facet of Bozja. We know kind of generalities about Bozjan society before the incident and before occupation, dating all the way back to the time of the Allagans, where that's where the whole Save the Queen legend kind of comes from, is all the way back then. And it talks largely about the class system of Bozja being almost identical to Ul'dah in a sense, I suppose, other than being a matriarch. I guess also Uldah's also a matriarch, technically, even if it has the syndicate. So,
it is very similar. It's huge though.
Yeah.
Like in Aggie's text, she's mentioned as being from Matri. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Matri.
I didn't even try. I literally read it and said, fuck it, and just moved on. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Matrivia, in the south, which is a harbor port city, 200,000 people. There's more people there than there are in the whole of heckin' Eorzea. So Bozja is big, or was. I mean, is. She's only 17, so the fact that there's a city that big still in Bozja, even after the Bozja incident, she was probably only born around the time of the Bozja incident. Means that this place is huge and incredibly, incredibly dense.
I get that kind of feeling from a lot of the city-states that are near or in Aldenard, or I'm sorry, not Aldenard, Elsebard.
And a lot denser.
Yeah, they're a lot denser. Like, even when we see, like, Dalmasca as we're going through it, I know a lot of them are upscaled from the city-states because they're instances. So, like if Ul'dah was ever a raid, it would probably also have, like, something that feels like a denser scale, but also grander. But that feeling is immense every time we involve anything with Ivalice. It always feels like there's a lot more at play than in other locations of the world.
Well, they're industrialized, and they've been industrialized for most of a century, whereas the industrial aspects of Eorzea have only really started up here in like the last decade, basically. Really not until after Cid came to Eorzea. So we are getting this sense more and more that Eorzea and Orthard are like the fringes of the known world, and that the vast majority of the population of the three great continents, at least, is centralized in Ilsabard, and there are cities here with hundreds of thousands of people all over the place. So Bozja is massive. I mean, we got that impression just like in Sid's memory there, like looking around. Like, obviously that wasn't necessarily like a super accurate depiction, but you got the sense that it was a big city.
Yeah, I mean, the civilization does go back to the era of the Allagans, as is explained, and survived through the calamities, even if it was kind of a shadow of its former self after everything that happens, like it's explained here.
Well, another example of like the scale here is Nalbina Fortress. When Bosch took Nalbina Fortress, was basically the first major victory against Dalmasca and the turning point of that war. 70,000 Dalmascans were killed at Nalbina, and like we've probably, I mean, how many NPCs do we have in Eorzea? Like maybe 300, if that. You know, if you take like the object limit of every zone, that is just like, it's inconceivable. So I wonder, you know, as we get more into these zones, if we're going to get more sense of that, like that density and that scale, whether they're actually going to deliver it or whether it's just going to remain as these sort of, you know, vague numbers.
I mean, I expected Matsuno dealing with the stories he's told before. That doesn't surprise me at all. I think even just back to 12 and the bustling cities that you see in the cutscenes, or even just the sheer number of NPCs that have nothing useful to say. He's always been very much about fantasy field matching, like it not feeling like, oh, there's like 20 people in this whole city. You know, he's always been really good at kind of writing into that, and his games that he's been a part of have always kind of lent themselves to that. Less tactics because of the technology, but, you know, when given the opportunity, he doesn't mess around. Yeah.
But I guess to get back on track, yeah, we're pushing through to charge up this. Don't say Geo Crystal Ethys. Our crystal focus.
Excuse me. What?
What?
What didn't you say?
I didn't say anything.
What was no? There's something you didn't say that you were gonna.
No.
Use your words. Use your words that you didn't want to use.
Definitely didn't. Definitely did not say J.O. Crystal. Definitely didn't say that we're trying to charge out J.O. Crystal. Yeah, and it turns out, you know, Missia, to no one's great surprise, is a double agent, is working for Menenius, and they have gotten their hands on Save the Queen.
Yeah, and that's where everything starts to kind of come together. Because so they set up kind of Missia as somebody who's mistreated right from the get-go. And they use that as a method to set up the...
betrayal.
Yeah, they set up the trail, but more importantly, they establish what Bozjan society actually was. And that it wasn't we've always understood it as a matriarchy with a lot of Hrothgars and a queen, you know, the basics, but we never really considered class. And they talk about how basically 7 out of 10 of all the Bozjans basically were poor, essentially. And then even just like 1 out of 10 was like considered, I don't know, like I think only 1 out of 10 had like any wealth to their name or something like that. I don't remember. It's in a couple of the dialogues, but she comes from the not so gracious side of history, in a sense.
Yeah,
and that is something she doesn't wish. She doesn't want to see Bozja restored in any way, because of what it was and what it means in her ancestry as she's researched it. Because through her archaeology, she's figured out all this other, like how shitty Bozja actually was for her.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to it than that. Like she's been submitted to the same sort of classism that existed 50 years ago, and is like, okay, we've been under imperial occupation for 50 years, and we're still like holding on to this. This is ridiculous. And then given the opportunity to attend one of the top schools in Garlemald, despite being of that lower caste, getting this opportunity she never ever would have had in old Bozja. And then, as you say, like, you know, discovering the past of Bozja and of her family and all that. But so much of it, and so much of all these NPCs centers around Noah van Gebrandt as this almost like messianic figure. And the idea that for decades he has been to no secret, like everyone in the Fourth Legion knows this plan of his of wanting to create his own republic, his own kingdom, of knowing that that Garlemald, that the Empire is a mess that is deeply, deeply corrupt, and that it is doomed to fail, and that, you know, the strength that he's accruing now is so that he can, you know, carve out his own republic when that when it does fall. And there's a point, I think, where we got to step back here and wonder, like, why don't we just let him do that? Because he's right. I mean, he's right. That's
it comes into question. It comes into question so many times in the span of us doing the Bozja quest, and yet it kind of made me think, like, you know, like, it doesn't seem that bad.
his
Like,
intuitions
on paper,
about the Empire are correct.
right?
And what we know about, Solace being Emmett and all of that nonsense is like, well, yeah, obviously it's going to fall apart and obviously it's going to need to reform. Why don't we just let them reform? Why don't we let this guy like do this work? And I mean, the only problem is, the means by which he's doing it. I suppose, with primals and bloodshed and all of that kind of stuff. But like at the heart of it, it's like maybe we should try and establish some heckin' dialogue with this guy and just be like, hey, we know about Solace. Let's talk. Let's have a powwow here, Like maybe we can
Varys.
Yeah, maybe we can go and like restore Landis with you. Give you your country back. Like it's probably one good conversation from having him on board, but I don't know, who knows.
I don't know.
It is interesting.
I'm not entirely convinced that just because. So obviously, the biggest promise the Fourth gives for this, the reason for this messianic sort of praise for the Gabronth line. Got to remember, Bosch instilled these values upon Noah. It's largely described as such by his much older generals. Lion even says "dear boy." He doesn't call him like by any sort of formal name. He says dear boy because he grew up with him. He was already working for his father by the time Noah was born. So is that he doesn't like he may want a society that's different, but he, just like the Empire, he's just got a bunch of unstable maniacs working for him at the end of the day. It kind of becomes the problem. I mean, Sartovoir took this from Abaleo, who's got all sorts of fucked up ideas. Lion is literally just like, bro, I just want to fight. And this is the best. I'm loyal to them, but I really just want to fight. The plan is this? Well, I don't care. So how about that?
But I mean, I guess, Noah just sort of sees him as a means to an end,
Yeah, and that's the question.
And that's the problem, right? Is the idea of like the end, the ends justify the means, and we obviously don't want to stand for that.
And that's a very Varys thing too, because Varys was very much like, I'm gonna restore man to like, we'll restore ourselves to one race, and then we'll take down the Ascians then. But for that, I need to go along with this, and I need to, take over all these nations and kill all these. Like the problem is the idea isn't inherently wrong. That's why Varys was such a red herring when we got the 4.5 trailer. Because that conversation sounds like a very reasonable thing for someone to say until you're given the context of what it is. And I feel like that's where we are with Gabranth, where it all seems very reasonable until you sit down with him and you go, oh, no, this guy's fucked up.
You're a psycho.
Yeah, this guy's fucked up too. So
it certainly makes him a far more interesting villain than I think perhaps we were expecting. As is all the people who follow him. But,
he actually has a lot of interesting subordinates. They're not boring subordinates, at the very least.
Yeah, Menenius is very curious. Menenius looks much better with his new armor, by the way. I don't know if you guys remember, but in the 5.25 cutscene of them in Valnain, he's wearing the Lost Allergan tank set.
Yeah, I remember.
It looks kind of silly. So it seems like he's gotten
promoted.
Well,
he got promoted. Yeah, I was just going to say, he got his promotion.
So he has his fancy new armor. But he's recovered Save the Queen. And it is, I'm just going to tell you guys now, it's a Eureka weapon.
Yeah, I said that immediately too. I mean, it's from the same era as all the other Eurekan weapons. It's from the same era as Zentetsuken and everything.
It's also from Alec. It was originally an Allergan artifact. As we know, the Allergans kept Eureka and all the Eurekan weapons in what we now call Labyrinth of the Ancients. It has the same kind of design as Zantetsuken, and it does the same thing.
Well, no, not precisely.
Well, it does. It does the same. It does the same thing. We'll get to it. But
I mean, I know it operates the same, but how it actually functions isn't the same. Like what it actually achieves through its function isn't exactly the same.
That's because of the Echo.
Yeah, but it's still very different. And I'm still well, I'm gonna get to that in a second because I've got some things to say about the Echo in this case. But yeah, so they essentially, apparently not a lot of the enemy is well aware of her being a traitor to the
double
Empire.
agent.
Yeah, because they catch her and they're just like, yo, she's just chilling here. And then he's like, let her go. And then they're all like, which makes sense because obviously if they saw her on the battlefield or anything like that, it's a little harder to keep up an act when everyone who's standing against you goes, not her, not her. Not that she does anything but stand in base anyway, apparently, and lie about going to Doma. But then he literally hands the blade to her, and that's when you start to see the glow, and that's when you're like, oh fuck, it's another Zantetsuken, isn't it? Essentially. Why Eureka? Come on, we were past this, man. We saved Edgica. We put him down. It's just come on,
we were told explicitly that there were other Eurekan weapons.
Yeah, but come on.
Yeah.
Come on, we're trying to get away from Eureka now, and come on.
I think it's great. We've got a convergence of Eureka weapons, of the resonance, of Aurasites. Everything is just coming together, stitching together here. Yeah. In a really interesting way. So to wit, they kidnap Mikoto. And did you guys pick up that they did basically what they did to Kral?
Oh yeah. It's pretty obvious given how the final events inside of Lacus Latore happen. Yeah, they pump the Echo out of her and replicate it.
Well, they didn't pump it out of her. So the way $4 was given the resonant is they basically use Kral as like the blueprint, as like the cookie cutter, and then all the other souls are like squeezed through that cookie cutter to like to imprint the same kind of Echo signature on $4 in that case. In this case, it's Mikoto having this prophetic ability associated with her Echo, and Misia wanting that and needing that somehow to kind of control the weapon, and subsequently, the primal. They gave her the resonant. I mean, we didn't see like the little glowing eye thing and all that, but I think we can basically agree that she has it, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's the linchpin to the plan, because essentially what happens, since we skipped ahead a little bit, when you finally do storm Castrum Lacus Latore, you clear out Alburio, who used the Aurasite to become a Dramlek,
who also has the resonant.
Yes.
Also has the resonant because he remains like cognizant and in control despite taking the form of a Lucavi.
Yeah, he's got complete. He doesn't go berserk like our good old boy Bagamnon did when he became what's his face Yasmat.
Yasmat.
Tiamat's locked up. Yeah. Save her for later.
Yeah.
On top of that, we took out, their frontline weaponry, Helldiver, Bryanak. We freed a bunch of prisoners. Whatever. That's describing Lacus Latore, like just the entirety of the content. And we finally beat Lion and his crown beast as the Beast King, Dawan.
Dawan.
Yeah.
For Dawan.
Yeah. I call him Dawan. He is Dawan for me. There you
go.
Terrible. And then it comes down, they're like, yeah, we did it. We got Lacus Latore back. And then at pretty much, at gunpoint says, Makoto, use your gift. Misia does. And what happens is they've collected the correct memory, the correct thing that they found with that they were looking for, that we talked about earlier, with the focus. She connects with it. She goes back into that memory, and and because Misia has the gift too, she comes back into that memory, and she now has a manifestation of her ancestor manifestation of the last queen Brynhildr, the last queen of Brynhildr's blades, essentially. She uses that to bring it forth through that. She needs that imagery essentially to summon it forth. She basically pulls it out of the memory in a sense. It's
basically Odin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Eureka weapons kind of operate in a similar way to Auracite, where they will like draw on your mind, your memories, whatever, transform it, and in turn, transform like your physical form. They seem to operate in a similar way. And in this case, it's basically the memories of the previous wielder of Queen Brynhildr being imprinted on and contained within the blade, and us being able to dive into that memory, that imprint, in the same way that we dove into the imprint on Cid, because that's how we understand memory. Memory is like a ethereal imprint, ethereal sort of residue. So it's kind of the same thing. We use it on an object instead. And Misia, presumably using the echo, sort of tempers that in, I guess, kind of the same way that Xenos does to Shinryu.
Yeah, that's how I interpret it. It's very somewhere, but she's able to do it by actually going into the memory to imprint it because she has Makoto's. She's used Makoto for the resonant.
Yeah, so it's somewhere between that and between like the stuff we're doing in Cid's memory, where we're like, fighting back against and trying to like change things in his memory. But basically, the idea to like manipulate and change memory is like very, very central to Bozja and this Bozjan kind of like seer tradition to which that last Queen Brynhildr belonged to. But
quick question: Did her being a descendant of Queen Brynhildr play any part of it? Did it make it easier? Did it make it?
I think she had the echo. I think she just needed Makoto's resonant, because it's her ancestor was basically to again jump back to talking about the last queen of Brynhildr. What's explained via the archaeology that Misia finds out, and what kind of sends her on this path to become a double agent.
Yes,
is that she finds out that the last queen of Brynhildr, who took up the blade, they didn't know was echo blessed. She was apparently a naturally echo blessed individual.
But they forced her to take it up.
Yeah, they forced her to take it up.
Queen, the Hrothgar queen didn't want to take up the blade to fight against the Allagans because she knew that the blade would consume her, corrupt her. She knew what it did. So they were like, all right, we're going to get this rando like shrine maiden. We're going to put her on the throne. We're going to put the blade in her hand. She is going to do this thing. She's going to be consumed. She's ultimately going to die. And, c'est la vie. They didn't know she had the echo, so it didn't consume her. She could control that power. And she basically became like very much like Yezael, where she could sort of transform into this primal figure at will through the power of the blade, save the queen. So the queen's blades, Brynhildr's blades, assassinated her because they didn't want to give political control to, this nobody, this shrine maiden that was rapidly becoming, a popular hero of the people. So they murdered her. And Misia turns out to be her ancestor. Sorry, her progeny. She is Misia's ancestor.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what leads her down this path. That's why she's able to do all this. I think she was gifted in some way before.
You don't inherit the echo though.
But we've seen some fucked
the
up
echo
shit.
To work.
We've seen some shit happen. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if she had it beforehand, but she didn't have the right kind. Until I see that eye, I'm not gonna. I mean, she's got it. There's no doubt she's got that fucking eye.
I mean, she has it now. I think she's definitely got the resonant now. But I think that she needed the resonant. That's why they kidnapped Makoto. She needed the resonant. I don't think she had the echo before then. But maybe. Who knows? Maybe.
Who knows? But she
sure as hell does now.
Yeah, she pulls, and she can pull memories out and summon them with the blade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with her resonant, but what's weird is that because she's Echo Blessed, we see what would presumably happen if someone who was Echo Blessed took up the Zentetsuken. I suppose the real one, in that it wouldn't transform the individual, but the ether and the memory inside still allows a physical manifestation to be used. It's a question of the effect on the user still, because we don't really know exactly what happened when she actually summoned the queen. We don't know what if there's a lasting effect to that or anything.
I mean, if we had Zantetsuken as someone with the Echo, like if we knew how to do it, presumably it would be like having an Odin, you know?
I like chats like, let's be honest, they just didn't want to animate a female Hrothgar. They're not wrong. I don't even think they're wrong.
I mean, that definitely had something to do with it. Okay, if we're going to be cynical, that definitely had something to do with it.
Yeah. Because then people will be like, look, there's one. Now the rest of us can have it. Yeah, that's the real reason.
And then, of course, she used the queen to temper the blades.
Yep, she had believers sitting right there. She doesn't. You don't even need believers for their Eureka weapons, but they sure as hell help when you're a primal.
Yeah, and it turned out basically that the attack on Lack of Litor was a bait all along. We were being baited towards it. We were being baited to attacking it. They basically like let us get through so that they could have all the blades there together in one place to do that.
Which is funny, because I bet you Lion wasn't actually supposed to be there, and he's just like, fuck that, I gotta fight them. Are you kidding me? He might have been buying time. At the very best, he might have been buying time for the resonant.
That was it. I think they were being told to slow us down.
Well, we know Alburio was trying to get the Orosite ready. At one point, he calls to be slowed down because he needs to prepare the Orosite. But Lion's probably saying. But as soon as it looked like he was going to die, he's like, all right, I've done my job. I'm going to get the fuck. I've lost my favorite pet. I'm sad. I'm going to get the fuck out of here at this point. But he would have done that shit no matter what. Lion has no reason to show up in the duel in the 1v1. He's just like, oh shit, he beat the red chocobo? Yo, hold on. I gotta head out there right now. Okay.
And I know we kind of skirted over it, but Sicinius, he was working at the Resonatorium for Aulus, who was the one that gave the resonant to Fordola. And, the primary, engineer of that technique.
Yeah, we had wondered because ever since Aulus died, we had to actually argue whether or not we thought Aulus was dead, because we beat him, but until it was eventually confirmed Aulus was indeed dead. And so we wondered if that meant Resonant died with him. And we realized through our discussion about what's it called? The chemical that they buried that we just
Black Rose.
Yeah, Black Rose. Where we had to have a whole discussion on the show about it. It was buried, and it's all that information's gone. But no, look, we have this information here. Look, what do you know? And it's like, I was like, I bet you the Resonant Project's the same way. Somebody else knows how to do what Aulus did. He had a superior.
Exactly.
They're never gonna get rid of research. I mean, somebody dies, the research is still there.
Well, I mean, Gaius did his best to bury all the Black Rose research.
Quite literally, unfortunately.
Literally, yeah.
And Aulus did indeed, and we don't know that Sicinius is his only disciple, which then leads to a whole nother, set of problems. But essentially, we know that the fourth, who will do anything, is, they've replicated the Resonant Project, and it's
the only reason. I mean, Alburio says that our true objective is the subjugation of Dalmasca and the seizure of its resources, not to engage in petty skirmishes with these Bozjan curs. The only reason the 4th Imperial Legion was in Bozja to begin with was to pull this off, was to save the Queen, was to get the Queen's blades, and was to get, this primal form of Gunhildr on their side. So we learned basically at the end that when Bawagi shows up, that the Dalmascan resistance has succeeded in taking back Lumina Fortress, but the 4th Imperial Legion's base of operations is in Valnain, in the south of Dalmasca, and their plan is to take the Queen and Mysia and the Queen's Blades back to Dalmasca and wipe out the Dalmascan resistance. That's their ultimate goal.
Mm-hmm.
So what we were thinking was going to be, 3 zones of different parts of Bozja is almost definitely not going to be that. Almost definitely going to be Bozja and Nagsha and Dalmasca.
I'm still not convinced there's more than one zone. I don't think there's even going to be... We had this discussion on Friday. I think the only zone that we're really going to get is going to be the Southern Front.
Really?
Well, I mean, in the 5.4 live letter, they made no mention of a second zone. They literally only brought up Delubra and Reginae. That's it.
Interesting.
Until they mention another zone, we talked about it on Friday, but for sake of giving you something to I guess think about, because I know you'll probably dive into all sorts of possibilities lore wise. We know that they said they didn't want to do the same thing over and over again with this relic step. That was in an interview a few months back. So they've done that so far. We had a solo instance, and then we had the extreme trial that was, not part of it, but, in there. And that seems to be kind of the trend they're going, the accessible version, and then the version for people who want something a little extra. In this, we have the Bosnian Southern Front. It's got the resistance rank. It's got the 1v1 duels, and it's got Lacus Latoria kind of as its end, I suppose. To advance the story. Of course, also the resistance weapons, which are being increased through these. But even though it's the core focus of the original quest, it really doesn't feel like it is in this one. It's definitely the secondary, like the tangential thing that is happening alongside. The actual Brynhildr's blades, the crew that is, promoted to that status is the more important thing than the actual weapons that Geralt is working on, or it would seem at least based on how events played out here. 5.4, 24-man, no roll, complete free normal mode. That's just for experiencing the story. And then a Savage, which is pre-made parties and presumably a decent bit more difficult. Probably something closer to the original Baldesion, which not too much harder, but a little bit stricter. We know they said they wanted to finish Ultimate development early. 5.5's Ultimate, whatever it will be. They said they wanted it done way before 5.5 came out, because they needed those resources to do something completely different. So the question is if that's 5.5 or if that's 6.x. That's about the only question remaining. So there's room for a lot of things, because as you've said, they've opened it up to not have to be restricted to Bozja in any way. So roll that around your noggin and think about where they could go and points of significance and everything that we know geographically and about Eureka and Bozja and the Queen and all that. And weigh that on your soul. The Siege of Valnain. Yeah, I've seen some people throw around Valnain being a big one.
Okay, so Balagi.
By the way, wait. Before we talk about... Why don't we just bring guns to this shit? He just shot her. He's just like, all right, I guess, fuck it.
I was doing this on Machinist, and
like I can do that.
I was just standing there.
No, he's got real bullets. Ours are ether. It's not the same.
Right.
Yeah, people actually get up after taking a shot. Apparently.
Fucking
man.
Bloggy.
The Ludo narrative dissonance when it comes to guns in this fucking game.
Bro,
really.
Emmett Selk did it. Bloggy did it. Like, people just keep bringing guns, and that keeps being the solution. Why? Just get a holster or some shit for the Warrior of Light at all times. Like Android 17 and Dragon Ball carries a pistol even. Just be like him. Just bring fucking gun with you every time.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know about that. I really don't know. Yeah, so apparently, Resistant Forces in Dalmasca and Nagsha have been planning assaults of their own to coincide with the Bozjan's strike on the castrum here. In Dalmasca, their target was Castrum Amicitia, known otherwise as Nubina Fortress. They were rewarded with victory. In Nagsha, they succeeded in taking a port to cut off their supply chain. The 4th Legion was surprisingly quick to turn tail, from what I am told. The forces in both Dalmasca and Nargsha are overjoyed by their successes, but Lady Fran suspects something is amiss. She believes victory should not have been so easily won against the 4th Legion. But they really are like setting up the idea of something going on in Nargsha and Dalmasca in association with this. And the fact that the 4th Imperial Legion's base of operations is in Valnain, like that's got to be the where we're going ultimately, right? Whether it's a zone or whether it's just an instance, that's got to be it, right?
I have no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Although there are things in Bozja I'd still like to finish exploring. I mean, I mentioned earlier, Firelight's coffin is ripe to be just completely fucked up.
And furthermore, Gabranth has proclaimed that Dalmasca will be the site of a new nation he intends to build. So he doesn't want Landis back. He doesn't really give a shit about Bozja. He wants Dalmasca. He wants Dalmasca to be his new kingdom. He wants that to be his seat of power.
Well, it's a good thing we found an ancient civilization under there that he didn't know about. Kind of weird that he didn't know about that.
Well, okay, so the interesting thing, right, is that the Garleans are like, okay, we're descendants of Galg. They've basically like confirmed that when they're in there, and that they think therefore they've got that sort of connection to Ivalice and that culture. But none of the Ivalicians we saw were Garlean. They didn't have the third eye. I'm over here thinking we're gonna find out that Noah and Bosch are like the descendants of Delita.
Being interesting. I mean, they have
something like that.
I mean, they have an ancestral line. It's just about drawing it back. So
yeah, there's got to be a reason that he wants Dalmasca, and I can't help but wonder if if like Landis isn't kind of similar to Garlemald, where they were originally settled in Ivalice and then kind of pushed back from there, and that he doesn't see that as his, I mean, that's like the theme of this whole storyline, right? Is the idea of the Garleans being the inheritors of Galg, the idea of Missia being the inheritor of, Gunhildr, and trying to settle this 5,000-year-old blood debt. If that isn't a theme that's sort of carried through to Noah van Gabranth, I wonder.
You keep mentioning Delita. What if it's a different Evolution character? One with a little bit more, one of notoriety with a little bit more of a...
Like a Jorah Glavidus? Yeah, I mean, that's possible as well, It could be... it could be much older,
Because there are a few Evolution characters with a history that is ripe for the picking for somebody like Gabranth, as far as I'm concerned. So, and that is also another interesting thing. Have we seen any actual? Because we've seen ancient Galgans at this point. None of them have a third eye.
Yeah. I don't know. We've only seen Mustadio.
I mean, we saw OG Ramza, didn't we? Is he not? Oh, he's even. Well, yeah.
He's not.
Yeah, no, he's
Never mind. Evolution. He's not from
Evolution. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but the interesting thing is that we're constantly told that only pure blood Garleans have the third eye, because all the half Garleans that we know don't have it, right? Arenvold doesn't have it. His mother thought he did, but he doesn't. And yet Ramza didn't. But modern Ramza doesn't either, does he? But their mother's not pure Garlean, is she?
Now you're going to things I can't remember. That I wish I did, but I don't.
Their father does. Their father does, but his ancestor didn't. So it's either Garleans just didn't have the third eye back then, or else you don't have to be pure blood, you just have to be like mostly. It's like a recessive gene.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's right. The mother was Dalmascan. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
I like somebody saying maybe Gabranth saw a play at the Prima Vista. Maybe they finished it and he saw it.
And Ramsey in the past did not have it.
No. No, I remember that. I mean, you can even see, I think, in the trailer that leads up to 4.5, you can see it from the front. So yeah, there's Matsuno again. He is not messing around. Oda-san and Koji have got to be having a fucking ball trying to integrate everything that he's envisioning. And I do wonder how much of it is Matsuno directing the story and like coming up with lore that's relevant to Ivalice versus like I want to know how closely. I think they mentioned he actually did work very closely with Oda-san. It's really Yokotaro who's doing his own thing, and then it's going through the filter that is the localization team. Yeah.
It feels like it feels almost like he's been given a list of like dangling threads, you know? Because particularly in the last chapter, it's like, hey, here's the stuff from 1.0 that we haven't resolved yet. And just draw from that. And it seems like with this chapter, he's been doing the same thing. What is unresolved? What do we need to wrap up before we can move forward? Well, we're moving into Garlemald, but we've got all these other, imperial provinces that we need to free. We need to have revolutions like we did in Stormblood, but we don't have, the time to commit several expansions.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, could you imagine? We freed 2 of them with 1 expansion, but we free another 2 with another expansion,
it's
another 2 with another expansion.
Always Stormblood. Stormblood never ends. 2.0 is Stormblood. 3.0 leads into Stormblood. 4.0 is Stormblood. 5.0, half of it is all actually Stormblood.
Yeah, absolutely. But it makes sense that we need to start like accelerating this, and that this stuff needs to be done in side content. Then it's like, all right, the Bozja incident and Cid's story, done, wrapped up, got it, nailed it. These hanging threads about the Eurekan weapons, about Oracide, about the Resonant, like everything is like every single unfinished thread they've given to Matsuno. They're like, wrap it up, put a bow on it. We're moving on to something new in a couple of years. Get it done. So that's kind of what it feels like,
But it's not. Doesn't feel rushed either. Is the good thing.
Yeah, and I was about to say that it doesn't feel rushed. Like somehow, some way, they kind of nail it to the point where like we can digest everything, like all of what we're trying to digest at one point in time. Whereas like,
have you digested it? Have you digested it? Sly, be honest with me, because I'm pretty good at digesting this shit. All right, I make my living out of digesting the lore of this heckin' game.
Not completely.
And in the last week,
not completely.
In the last week, I have had serious like lore indigestion. All right, I'm having a lot of trouble.
Lore constipation.
Yeah, lore constipation. I've eaten way too much lore, and I don't know what to do with it. I'm having a lot of trouble.
I need lore.
Listen,
lore brand. I like that.
I need to go back and play the Yorha storyline just to
get something. Just to get something that
is that lore brand? Is Yorha lore brand?
I think so.
Yorha's lore brand.
So.
Oh god.
It gives you so little that it has no problem to digest.
Like if it's not obvious, guys, this has only been a week since patch. We're having this conversation, and I am going to internalize all of this and all of the dialogue of all these characters and all their little lore dossiers and stuff like that. But it is a lot, and it is going to take some time. And Matsuno did this with Ivalice, but he's done it way more with this. And I was not expecting it to be like I was saying earlier. I know more about Dabog on in I can't even say his heckin' name. I know more about him than I know about Y'shtola, right? I know more about him than I know about Thancred, about Alize, about Alfino. What the heck? We need this. We need this in the rest of the game. They need to.
It's called the lore book, Ethys. God.
No, there is way more. Okay, I just wrote. Okay, I notated. Give me a second. I notated the stuff on Sartavois.
Serenus.
Okay.
Just call him by his name.
All right.
Damn
Sorry,
Bruno.
Soranus. Yeah. Soranus has got
God damn it.
a 500 words.
I hate you happy.
500 words of notes on him alone. Okay. You know how many we've got on Thancred Waters in the law book? Got like 2 lines.
He's a mysterious man. That's all you need to know.
We don't even have a 20% of this in the law book on any of the scions. And this guy is like, is he dead now? Have we killed him?
Who's Sartavois?
Yeah.
If you win the so when you win the 1v1, he disappears into. I gotta see. Let me go check what his final words are because I have.
I don't think he's dead.
Well, let me just
Centurion,
see.
like he's nobody.
Well, let me just see what he says at the end. Like just to give you a degree of closure, something that can maybe be of assistance to you. Let's see his final words. There's Sartavois the Inferno. Blah 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 blah. He's just summoning phoenixes. He's an asshole. Meltdown. Thermal gust. All right, let's see. When you defeat him, come on. So he kneels down. Come on. My flame's extinguished. How can this be? And then he just disappears into flame. So he's dead. He literally, he straight up dies. He disintegrates into ether like a primal does in a sense.
He's a centurion, okay? We literally kill, like, when we go through on our way to fight Midgard Zorma, right? When we're traveling up through the Agris, Silvertear Lake, okay? We literally kill dozens of dudes, the same rank, the same significance as Sartavois, all right? He's nobody. And I know more about him than I know about any of the Scions. And that's cool on one hand, but on the other hand, it is completely unacceptable. And you cannot set a precedent like this without being committed to giving me, my law library.
Well, the big thing with this is that it's very 4th Legion to have this kind of, I guess...
Intel?
Intel about... Because they don't just pull random conscripts into... the 4th. There's a reason why anyone has converted. Again, it's messianic in regards to their belief. So all of them there have some sort of almost like a 7th Legion, Nail Days level dedication to this. But because they come from all walks of life, all these lands that have. And they come like through peaceful means. Most of them have not through peaceful means, but like by the time they're actually brought in, it's normally through a conversation, not like a you work for me now kind of thing. So there's a lot more personality that goes into the people that Bosch specifically went after. Every single one of them, except for Debog, who is actually experimented on illegally. under 4th Legion law, Debog is an illegal experiment, technically.
Yeah.
So
Debog's a really interesting one. He was trying to escape. And
he's
Upgrade. Did a couple of times.
You ever seen the movie Upgrade, the horror movie? He's Upgrade.
Yeah, basically.
Essentially.
Yeah. His family died in the Bozja incident. He tried to escape. Well, he defected and then was taken prisoner. Kept trying to escape. And basically fell off the wall of the castrum and shattered his spine. So they remade him.
Well, specifically, in order to try to make it past law, even though it really didn't. Apparently, the 4th Legion has a rule where they won't conduct scientific experiments unless if it would endanger the life of whether it be a friend or foe, they won't conduct an inhumane experiment. But Sicinius is not one who really gives a shit about ethics, as we see, because he's just like, well, I mean, he's going to die if I don't do anything. So, like, I can save his life. So, here we go. Sure.
Kept going.
Yeah. And then he's like, you can see him kind of conflicting because he's very clearly following orders, but there's times where he has to kind of question what he is or who he is when you speak to him around the various points before you actually deal with him. So there's a lot going on with Debog because he's hyper-tuned. Like
he's hyper-tuned, so he's like Granwat.
Yeah, he's like Granwat.
Before we killed Granwat.
Yeah.
The interesting thing with him as well is that the machina that he is piloting seem to have a very similar interface to the Whirlit weapons.
Yes, they do. They require a heightened sense of a mental acuity, I suppose.
Yeah, they need some sort of like neural uplink.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they needed him to be hyper-tuned to have that level of control over it.
Mm-hmm.
So those weapons are special. That's why a traditional guard scorpion turns into that, essentially. It's not because it's a stronger unit, it's because it's built in such a way that it's got the maximum.
His brain is directly connected to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, Lucrota, when he's in the super shitty, like easiest fucking skirmish on the whole map, the one at the top against Lucrota, which dies for some reason in like 5 GCDs half the time. Even when there's 72 people there. I don't know why that one is so weak, even when there's like a shit ton of people there. I don't get it. But yeah.
Gotta be a reason.
Well, maybe because it's so much shittier than the ones he's piloting in the other fates. He kind of wakes up in that one, like briefly, in a sense. Like he comes to his senses and starts to remember who he is a little bit.
Yeah.
So
maybe that's why it's so easy, you know?
Yeah. He's
not 100% in it.
Yeah, maybe.
Wouldn't be surprised if it was deliberate. I mean, just like going through this, like we've got an interview with one of these Herneus Pierolongus. We've got an interview with him from like his local town's newspaper.
Yeah, that one's really funny, actually.
It's ridiculous.
You got to put on your reporter voice for that one. Hey, how you doing, Herneus? Tell me, why do you follow Lion the Beast King so intensely?
And when they talk to Leon, he's like, I'm sorry, who's that guy?
He's like, oh yeah, I forgot about him until you mentioned him. Good kid. Good kid. Yeah, no, he's going places. That kid's going places.
Okay, I guess let's use Herneus as a springboard here. Herneus is from Mons Falconus in Landis. Leon is also from Landis. It seems that beast mastery is a Landis discipline.
Yes.
This is, of course, the original home of Noah and his father, Bash. That is where this tradition comes from. How we have to address the whole Beastmaster.
Okay, yeah,
I was going to.
How do you feel about that? Everybody keeps saying that Leon Lion, whatever you want to call him, that he's like he's the best Beastmaster, which I think is that's how he gets his name, the Beast King, given the troops that follow him. But people have been saying he's the like progenitor of it. He's not.
No.
Because this is actually made apparent in Clarisse's log. Who her husband, before ever joining the army, was a trained Beastmaster.
Yes.
So I want to just put that in just nip that one in the bud real quick.
Yeah, he didn't invent Beast Mastery.
He's just the best at it. And he's 1 year too young to retire. He needs at least one more year before he's allowed to retire. Would you like to recite his age for us, Ethys?
He's 60. No.
He's 68. No, he's 68.
I know. I just wanted to.
He needs one more year. Just one more year.
Yeah.
That's it.
Till he's allowed to get the weed number. Yeah. Is that the one? Is that the right one? Am I getting that right?
Now you're.
That's the weed number, right?
Your deliberate meme.
No, you'll have. That's right.
Stop.
Is that not which one is that again?
Stop it.
Which one is that again?
The Empire lets you retire at 69, so they can be like, it's my last day, and they can be like, nice.
Actually, Uldar, they hire Beastmasters for the
Gladiator games, don't they?
Masked Carnival. Yeah, and the Gladiator games, the Masked Carnival as well. Mm-hmm. So, assumably, that's gonna be the Bozjan tradition.
A lot of these 5.55 tradition if history tells us what to expect out of Beastmaster.
Yeah, a lot of these NPCs come from Landis. We've got this this Ellison nomadic tribe in Landis, which I think is really interesting.
That's Clarissa's log, right? That's where Clarissa and her husband are from. Yeah, they're from the nomadic tribe.
Yeah, and they were basically they were left alone by the Empire on the provision that they basically provided a certain number of people they had to serve a deployment. They had to serve a deployment, or had to have people that would serve deployments. Essentially, they didn't. They weren't permanently conscripted. They just had to serve for a time. Yeah, which is pretty interesting. We've got Alburio was a thaumaturge.
Yes, he was chased out of Volta by an angry mob, apparently.
Yeah, Mumwepo was not really all about him. Which is an interesting one as well. I mean, it seems the majority of the 4th Legion are either from Bozja or from Landis, and the ones that are from Bozja have mostly like defected and joined the resistance.
Yeah, Lofi brings her totally not unicorn. She starts trying to say that. But we also, the fact that they have the Monoceros also clearly means there's other creatures like the Monoceros they're experimenting on and trying to draw their power out of. I mean, that's what's eventually, that's in her entire purpose, is to try and draw the power out of these magical beasts through some sort of cruel means. You know, it's not meant to be, it's not like, can you please do this for me? It would be so nice. It's like, no. We've got machines that fucking strain the fucking, like a sifter for the fucking echo. No, we're going to figure this shit out. So
Menenius, the other interesting one, we know that Menenius's father served Noah.
Yeah.
And that this relationship between, you know, the Gubrants and the Lanituses have been going on for 2 generations now. But Menenius's father was he basically is not his real father.
Right.
He was adopted.
Yeah.
His father married an Ellison, and this was the Ellison's son that was subsequently adopted.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just like a random paragraph in there that goes into his grandfather's history, that then goes into his father Lucius's history.
And his grandfather was named Thyrus.
Yes. Which I know after
which is the name of the Wymage relic.
Yeah. How dare that relic copy him?
We've been having this a lot recently in relation to the Garleans, where we had like Agrius, and we found out that Agrius was named after the Zodiac Brave Agrius. Here we've got Brynhildr, right? The weapon, when we already had a spear named Brynhildr. And, you know, presumably they come from the same root. We got Thyrus here, presumably from the same root. There's a lot of like really interesting linguistic stuff in here for us to get our heads around.
Yeah, there is. I realized that as I read through them all today.
There's just so much. There's so much stuff here.
My favorite one is probably what's their names? Velibor and Blaz. Velinor and Blaz, the cousins from the martial school, the Verdant Path.
Yes.
I think it was the Verdant Path.
The Verdant Path, yeah.
Yeah.
And Aggie was part of that as well. Aggie was an orphan, and she was basically discovered by Imperials and sent to the Verdant Path, and was like basically raised there.
Yeah, went from being a mute essentially to the loudest one, apparently.
Yeah.
And only 17.
So the Verdant Path, the Verdant Path is a really interesting one. It was basically a Bozjan martial arts school that trained a whole bunch of different disciplines, but they had samurais, they had dark knights, pugilists, like whatever. And their schoolmaster, leader, headmaster, whatever you want to call it, was basically told after the Fourth Legion conquered that they would either serve the Empire or they would be dismantled and destroyed, and they would all be killed. The students would all be killed. So they agreed, and the headmaster handed it to his daughter, who was made to make the same sort of oath of allegiance. And then when she died more recently, she was like, hey, I'm not going to hold you guys to this anymore. Like, go and free Bozja. So a good number of the current Gunhildr's blades are from this same school, which I think is quite interesting and is no doubt going to kind of play in further as we go.
Man, they came from a way better school than Gaius' kids.
They sure did. So, and then what's his name? Marsak was trained by the Gunbreaker trainer.
Yeah, which came as no surprise. I mean, we if you did the level 80 quest for Gunbreaker, it makes mention of the fact that the Resistance is about to move against
Rustic.
Rustic, yeah,
his name. Yeah, Rustic, who also taught Thancred a little bit. Showed Thancred a couple of moves.
Does he say that in his new dialogue after they get back?
No.
Where was that? I missed that.
No. That was in the Gunbreaker quest, like early on in the Gunbreaker quest line. He mentions that he met Thancred when Thancred was doing his espionage stuff in Ilzabad.
I missed that. I forgot about that.
And showed him a few things. Yeah. Then we got Isolde, of course. Isolde.
Woo!
Stop it.
She was born in Dalmasca in Le Monde, but her parents were Bozjans. They were Bozjans, and apparently after Bozja was invaded by the Fourth, a lot of refugees went to Dalmasca, and then, of course, Dalmasca was conquered by the Fourth as well, and they were like, all right, nowhere left to go, really. But she was obsessed with Bozjan song and dance. She wanted to be a dancer. And apparently Bozjans have like a bard tradition, very, very similar to the Gridanian one, where they use bows as instruments. Doesn't seem like so much they have like the lute or like the harp or whatever attached to it, as they pluck the string of the bow to like keep a tempo, like an upright bass. They just go dong 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 as they're dancing. So she had to learn how to do that so that she would understand Bozja's like musical tradition, so that she could be a dancer. So she's both an archer and a dancer, and a bard. She's like a dancer sub bard or a bard sub dancer, whichever way you want to think of it. Which is pretty cool as well.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of trivia about
Zevin's the fucking edgelord of the group, who's just like
Yeah, this is an interesting one as well, because this kind of like heralds back to Black Rose a little bit, doesn't it? That like after the Fourth conquered Bozja, there was suddenly like this plague that started affecting the Hrothgar there, and it was affecting his mother, and he and his father traveled to Gridania to try and discover a cure from the Pajali. But she died, and while he was in Gridania, he sort of became interested in magic and basically decided he was going to travel the whole world and learn everything that he could about every magical discipline, like everywhere, until he developed his own school of destructive magic.
That only he's allowed to use. He never taught it. He won't teach it to anyone.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have much of a choice anymore. Unless I...
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the other thing, right? Is that we've got this idea of them being tempered and them subsequently, having to fight like against Dalmasca, particularly, and being used in that way. But there's also like they're all like prodigies in their own sort of fields, their own martial fields. And then we've got in the Fourth Imperial Legion, we've got people like Alburio, basically this collection of people that are like obsessed with ancient knowledge, like ancient Allagan knowledge, ancient Evolesian knowledge, all these like magical traditions and martial traditions, and they're going to be able to like extract a lot of that from these guys, I guess.
Well, some of them are dead. Like Albuleo's dead, Sartavos dead, Lion's alive, and I don't think he gives a shit really.
I don't think Albuleo's dead.
I'm pretty sure he's dead.
I don't.
Yeah. I think it's pretty apparent from Castrum once you take him down after as many waves of ads.
I don't know if he's dead. Alburio transforms into Dramalek.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to.
Yeah. But, you know, like, Yzael doesn't die when we beat Shiva.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure we see him die. I'm gonna go back and watch.
Yeah.
I'm
watching
mostly
Castrum right
he's
now.
dead.
Yeah.
Because he dies similar. Yeah, he dissipates in a similar manner to like.
He does the
defeat
ethereal
him.
dissipation.
Yeah, he does the
Let me see if I can. I'll take your word for it. I'll have to have a look at my VOD. But I don't know if I'm going to find it, so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Alburio is dead. Lion's not.
Yeah, it's an ethereal dissipation. He just shatters.
Yeah, which is similar to what happens to Sart Dubois. He shatters and then flames literally rise up and like turn into like little fireflies and shit too. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few of that. I think Dyungbu. I think pretty much every gem. So the way the zone works, something that I think actually works fantastically, and is something I kind of wish they'd integrate more. We see it a little bit in Shadowbringers overall, but the fact that the story is told essentially from bottom to top, all the way to Castrum. Everything canonically happens here, then here, then here. So you see a story unfold. Every single fate line is a story that gets told. Essentially.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, sequentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you like, you might see them out of order, but that's the way it is. You have the Magitech laborers, which is actually the one line that comes from Sicinius. All the math bots, those are all Sicinius's line, because it's reported that he probably actually came to the front line and was like trying to gather data about how the laborers are functioning and whatnot.
Yeah.
So.
So I'm going through a Dramalek's animation when you defeat him frame by frame, and he doesn't do the classical ethereal dissipation. He just I don't know.
What does he say?
I'm not convinced.
Hard to believe.
What does he say?
I think he's probably dead.
What does he say though?
He doesn't say anything, but Shalshin says something.
Oh, that's surprising.
Like, hard to believe that he would give himself up to that demon body and soul. I think it's basically
I don't think Albuleo's got the cojones to come back from a Lucavi transformation that we've defeated. I don't think he's got that in him.
I guess not, but I think it really did seem like he had the resonant.
Hence why he just died. That would make more sense than just dying outright. Yeah, I understand. Like him having it to have some sort of. I mean, I can't even really say that's that surprising, because I mean, as much as we see Begamnon lose his fucking mind when he becomes a Asmat, he's still very much, his own motivations fuel that transfer. Like, he's still talking as Begamnon the whole time.
But he loses his mind. He loses his mind before then.
Well, he loses his mind as soon as he picks that shit up, and he starts seeing He starts seeing Gabrov and fucking hallucinations and shit.
Yeah. Exactly, but Albaleo has been kind of presumably carrying around his Aurosite for a while. Like, Leon mentions he's seen him do that transformation before. He's seen him use it and go back. It's not the first time he's done it. He's been experimenting with it for a while. So I don't know. I think he is probably dead, but I'm not convinced.
But Lion, Menenias, Mizia, we've still got all of them pretty much to deal with. And I won't be surprised if the fourth has some other people over in Valnain that are going to get some pretty lengthy explanations as well.
Oh, yeah. But it's
I have a question in the back of my head, like, in regards to, I guess, Garlemald in particular. Like, we see the Fourth Legion as kind of separatist, you can say? Would it be safe to say? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
Is Garlemald too busy to deal with it, or how do you think they will deal with it? So
the Fourth was recalled to the capital by the Legatus of the Third, Titus, who is he was related to Solus as well. I think he was Solus's nephew.
That's never good. You don't want to.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Titus was on the other side of the
War of Succession.
Conflict. Yeah, the other side of the conflict with Varus.
Mm-hmm.
It was Nerva, is Varus's cousin. Okay, let me try and find this. Let me try and pull this out for you. Yeah, here we go. Yes. Okay, Leon says, trust you're aware of the request from the 3rd Legion to return to the capital. Leon says, Nerva is just like his father Titus, weak and a coward. Okay, so Titus was Varus's competitor in the previous War of Succession. Yeah. So Solus's nephew is Titus. Solus's grandson is Varus. So Varus's cousin is Nerva. Nerva is the legatus of the 3rd Imperial Legion. It seems like he might be, apart from Xenos, the only one of Solus's progeny that is left, and that is why he's vying for the throne, why he's making a claim for the throne.
He doesn't want to go near that throne right now. It's not a good time.
Yeah. And he's recalled the legions back to the capital to support his succession, and this is the point where basically Noah has made public his declaration that he's sort of had, at least internally, like fairly well known within the 4th Legion all this time, that, as you say, he's a separatist. He has no interest in supporting the Empire beyond seizing this opportunity to create his own domain, and he thinks he's got the ability to do that. Now, what that means, as we explore after this, is that they're not getting any supplies, they're not getting any support from Garlemald whatsoever. They have no home to return to. All they have is the territory that they've managed to seize. They hold Nagsha, they hold Bozja, they hold Dalmasca. They're consolidating Dalmasca, trying to wipe out the resistance there, and that is it. That's all they've got. Apart from Eureka weapons, Orosite, the Resonant, probably some heckin' like Whirlit weapons by the looks of this nonsense. They probably, got some shit like that. Ancient Allagan reliquaries, other ancient evolution weapons.
Yeah, this is a pretty common trend. The 14th went rogue. The 4th's going rogue. The 7th is, I wouldn't say is rogue, but I mean, it did go rogue at one point, the 7th.
Before the 7th absolutely went rogue. Yeah, I mean, it's not now, but it did.
Yeah, not the current 7th, but the old 7th was super rogue. So, man, solid in. And then you fuck shit up.
Pretty soon they're not going to have any legions left. Jesus.
Well, yeah. The 14th was loyal. Gaius was loyal to Solus.
But he also was unrelenting in taking Eorzea to the point where they essentially... they were cut off in a sense. They weren't constantly getting supplies from the capital. They were just, similar to the 4th. Because the 4th is still considered part of the Empire, even if they've been completely cut off. They're not like, well, we don't own them anymore. No, they're like, no, they're ours. We're not going to help them. This is fucked up. Same like they did with the 7th. Yeah. The 7th was still the 7th. It wasn't suddenly not the 7th Legion. They're just like, listen, you're on your own. It's going to cost us too much to actually help you. If you do good, cool, come back to us. But like...
Well, it seems Nerva is basically fighting a civil war in Garlemald right now. So it's more a case of like, we know these guys are AWOL. We just don't have the resources to deal with it. We're not going to like send an army down there to like rein in Noah because like, then we're fighting more civil war on another front. Like we can't handle it. We can't deal with that. And no one knows that.
Yeah. Yeah, he certainly does. I don't think we're going to be done with Noah by the time this expansion's done, because I feel like there's not enough time to see all of Noah's plans through to fruition in 2 more patches. Yeah. Granted, I didn't expect that this much would be here in this patch, so who knows?
Yeah, I kind of feel like we have to have a coming to Jesus moment with Noah, like we did with Varus, just like a really,
is that a pun
really
on
good,
his
like a really
Noah?
good.
Is that like a biblical thing? Okay.
No, I wasn't even trying. there. But I feel like we had to have the same kind of sit down that we had with Varus before we realized that, he's kind of kind of psycho.
Yeah, he's definitely psycho, as reasonable as it seems. To be like, yeah, I want to create a nation where it doesn't matter where you came from, your gender, I don't care. Whatever. Just join me. It's cool. It's like, oh, that sounds so bad. It's like, yeah, we're gonna kill a bunch of people to make sure they agree with me, but like
we're gonna do it through conquest. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, we're gonna murder them, and we're gonna use their bodies as test subjects for all of our experiment. But we're gonna use it to be better.
Yeah. But the thing is, like Missia believes that he can deliver that. Like everyone in the Fourth Legion,
Dianbu believes he can. Yeah,
they all do. They all believe that he can deliver. And we haven't heard enough from him or seen enough from him to understand why he holds that level of, charismatic sway over them. I mean, if we want to put our tinfoil hats on, maybe he's got the Heckin Resonant, maybe they're all tempered, Maybe everyone in the Fourth Legion's literally tempered. I can believe it.
Bro, I wouldn't even be surprised if they literally act like...
Maybe he's not... Maybe Noah's not even a person, Maybe he's just a fucking primal, Maybe
you know what's going to happen? We're going to go to meet him and he's going to do this. And I'm going to be like, fuck, not again.
Oh, no. Oh, he's...
No. He's gonna
fuck. He will though. He will. He will.
That's as soon as you see anyone's hand go here in this game, you're like, oh fuck.
Don't you do it.
Please.
You know what? Now he's gonna do it 6 times. He's gonna be like.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, no. Even for like, please, if your hand goes up here, just do the thing where you make your you're just like. Please do that. Please don't.
I really want to see a Photoshop of La Brea. It's just like
instead of the thing, he's just doing the face change. It's like you thought I was gonna do the thing. I'm not gonna do the thing. I'm not gonna. No, I don't think he's an Ascian. I mean, here's the thing. We've been constantly talking about how Ascians are gonna be going rogue with Fan Daniel. And that's maybe he's going, but then his father would have also oh fuck it, Noah's just Bosch again. Yeah, they made a fucking clone body and it's him again. He just changed his name. There we go. It all makes sense. We have explanations for all of this. We literally have an explanation for everything. Body swaps down from Bosch to Noah.
So when we fight Noah, he is going to be using Orosite to make himself a Lucavi. He's going to be dual-wielding Eureka weapons. He's going to be riding
stands.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's going to be riding another Proto Ultima, and
he's going to be ingrained. Like his lower half is just going to be. He's only going to see him from the upper half, and he's going to have the 2 swords. And exactly.
That's right. Yeah. He's going to use oh god, I can't even remember the name of it now. Construct 7's weapon. No, he's definitely got the resonant. Obviously, he's got the resonant. Yeah. There's just too much. Tartarus. He's going to be using Tartarus.
There you go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's got it all.
A flail that has Ozma at the end of it. There you go. just eats whole civilizations. Step aside.
Man, I want to see him fight Xenos now.
Well, it's funny. Lion actually says, "I heard you bested Xenos." Based on what I've seen, I don't believe that. He says that when you 1v1 him, he's like, "No way, you didn't beat Xenos. There's no way."
Huh.
There's a level of respect and disrespect there at the same time that only Lion could achieve.
What a mess! What a mess!
I mean, that was always Emmett might be gone, but this was always part of the plan.
Yeah.
He has the longest enacted plans. He didn't try to solve it in 5 seconds like fucking La Brea and fucking what's his face Ellentill did. He's like, I'm gonna pretend I'm playing the long game, but like when the time comes, it's over in 5 seconds. And it's like, yeah, well, Should have played a long game because it's way more of a pain in our ass. In case you haven't noticed.
Mm-hmm.
So the final thing, I guess, with the blades and the tempering and the ideas that we've had, over the course of the Shadowbringers, like post patches, that tempering might be something that can be reversed or whatever. Do you guys think we're going to kill them, or are we going to save them?
They're fucked. I read through all their histories. They're all dead. I read through all their logs. I'm like, nope, that's it. This is their time.
I think we get the illusion of choice before they even inevitably die.
Okay.
So we get a choice to not kill them outright or try to save them, but
and it's not going to matter.
Inevitably, it's not going to matter. It never does.
Yeah, no, they're fucked.
Okay.
They're dead.
Okay.
They're all dead.
Okay. It should be interesting to fight them, I think.
Yep, because that's what we're going to do.
So is our fight against Save the Queen going to be like Thornton? The Knights of the Round?
That's what I was thinking.
48 people is a lot of people.
That's
with
true.
Queen Gunhildr at the center. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
There's count how many of them are that she tempered, and count how many people are in a raid. I think it starts to look like there's 8 people for each of them.
Yeah.
So that 48-man savage isn't, they're gonna have to fight them all, and they're all gonna have some sort of mechanic of some kind that's related to their school of. I don't want to fight Zevin. Zevin's a fucking maniac. Dude, he was prophesized to die when in the battle for Bozja.
Yeah.
And
well, it's gonna happen.
We're gonna make sure it comes true. Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna bring that one to fruition. I have no doubt about that. Yeah, no, they're dead. They're so dead. Every single one of them's dead. Who even made it out? Not tempered. I don't even remember at this point.
Saljan
and Marsak
and a few of his.
I think that's it. I think it's just them two and the random soldiers.
Yeah, it was a bunch of random soldiers and Mikoto, obviously. Bawagi. Man, Bawagi's
I mean, we're gonna have Fran in the next patch. Almost without a doubt, Fran is coming back in 5.7.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think the next one, I don't know whether we're gonna do Dalmasca next or whether we're gonna do Nagsha next.
I mean, I think Bawagi coming in is no matter what to bring us. And I think I feel like we have to meet the Shelia stand-in that we're expecting Fran to be answering to. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't see any way that doesn't happen in the next couple now that we've seen Bawagi. As soon as Bawagi appeared. Everyone's like, why did I need to do Evilise before? Oh.
Well, Mikoto and there's a lot of stuff.
There's quite a few characters, but Makoto they could have written in almost if you've done it before, she recognizes you. If you don't, she introduces her like that. That could have been done. But a lot of other characters are oh well, we want this guy introduced now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and Fordola is dude, we need to. Where's Aaron? We need to go get Aaron involved in Fordola. We need Fordola. Now we really need Fordola. She's getting more and more come on. I understand she's on a primal killing squad, but still.
Yeah. As soon as the residents come out, she has firsthand experience with that. She knows how that works. At least has some idea.
Although I don't know if it's ever made apparent to the player. No, it is. As soon as we see him in the dream, Mizia in the memory realm, I think it becomes. At least you'd assume your character, because I don't think she ever outright claims to have the resonant or anything like that, but she
doesn't claim it. She doesn't have the eye. Yeah. It could be explained in the we'd already established with Cid that we can manipulate his memories. We established that the point. Originally, way back in the past, the seers that came to Bozja and torn this thing, presumably from the Onishishu, were trying to heal people psychologically from the fourth calamity by going in and manipulating their memories. that is something that this crystal focus was designed to do. We do not know whether or not you need the echo explicit to be able to do it. So it is possible that Missia does not have it. But the whole thing about the resonant there and the resonatorium and all that, like, I don't think that was a red herring. I think it's very strongly implied that she has it now. And that was a prerequisite in some way to being able to wield the sword.
Fortulla's filming the Eorzea equivalent of Suicide Squad right now.
Pretty much. Honestly, pretty much.
Is Aaron Vold Deadshot somehow?
Yeah.
No, he's
Captain Boomerang.
Colonel.
He's Captain Boomerang.
He's the colonel. He's
he's just the lieutenant.
Yeah, he's the one under Waller's command. Like
he's Waller then.
He's not there.
Yeah, it's Colonel Flag.
That's a good question. Yeah.
We're gonna find out that it's fucking it's Merlwub. Merlwub is Waller.
No, it's Pippin.
Pippin's Waller?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Oh man.
Tataru. There you go. Tataru Zodiark. We've been over this before.
Yeah.
You thought it was Elidibus, but Elidibus was just a bigger shard. It's the smaller shard was Tataru.
That's
just facts.
Shard.
That's all it is. She knows too much.
Oh my goodness. Is there anything we missed here? I mean, like, we just cannot go through. There's at least 500 words on every single one of these. It would take us at least an hour just to read through.
It sure does.
Every single
I can vouch for that. Someone who did it earlier. Oh man.
Yeah. So we just can't. But I don't know if there's anything particularly important or particularly interesting that we missed or we just kind of like breezed over that's worth reiterating or exploring again. I just want to know. I want to know what the inside of where they found Save the Queen is, because I assume that's just the grave, like it was buried with what's her face in the crypt there.
Yeah, in the crypt. Yeah, I assume that's just the corpse of the last queen of Brynhildr. And I don't think that's I thought maybe for a second that was the Lubrum Reginae, which does translate to Queen's Sanctum at first, and it would make sense because it's her ancestor, it's Mizia's ancestor. That's there.
Yeah.
But I'm more interested in if there's any plans to do anything with Firelight's coffin, because there's a lot of shit. There's a giant crater that was where the original Bozjan incident actually took place. It wiped out all the people who lost their families. They lived in what that crater was before, essentially.
Yeah. And that is huge. That is like 10 times, 100 times the size of Cartano. Like, if that had happened in Eorzea, if the Bozja incident had happened in Eorzea, it would have caused a calamity. The only reason why it didn't cause a calamity is because it wasn't in Eorzea.
It's also worth mentioning,
or because there wasn't, the metaphysical stuff lined up with one of the other shards. I'm just saying that, like, that in scale, we need to understand is that what happened to Bozja was of a magnitude greater than what happened to Cartano, just in terms of like sheer destruction.
I mean, it was essentially the same exact thing that caused the third calamity. What
exactly.
did.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And we actually know from the records that even though we like to localize calamities to Eorzea, it definitely, the whole reason why the Bozjan summoned Brynhildr in the way that they did was in response to what was happening with Alleg. Like, their calamity was causing problems that they needed solved with this. So it was at a reaching effect, I suppose. So and I just wonder if we're gonna do anything else with Firelight's coffin, like if the over aspected ether there has bore something that is a little more despicable in nature.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting how like the ether has been affected like that far out, where it's so like over aspected that like or like the brick has just been reduced like pure earth ether to its constituent elements. Like there's a lot of kind of stuff we can construe about how the calamity actually works just by looking at these ruins.
Yeah, and not to mention that we have over-aspected ether in Eorzea. A lot of it's a mix of Eorzea's abundance of ether with the influx of trying to repair the realm, and thus also being stopped by Bahamut not actually being dead and him stopping the actual recovery. But this is a result of a location way outside of Eorzea, and what happens to land that doesn't have all that ether flowing through it. Or the same degree of ether, and it just becomes a barren wasteland. But I'm curious about the structure in the actual center.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't. Who knows? Maybe we will go there. I hadn't really like thought of that or suspected that we would have any reason to go there. But that's certainly an interesting thought.
I just like. I just want to know more, so I can get it wrong in Eorzea, but I want to know more.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure. I mean, the zone's really interesting. Like, it feels a little bit kind of empty and barren.
It is on the outskirts of that.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of reasonable that, given its proximity to Firelight's coffin, that not a whole lot going on there.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, just to reiterate for people that don't understand, Dalamud was effectively collecting solar energy. It was a massive sort of solar power plant, which was supposed to, charge Allag, charge its cities and all that. And Bahamut was used as a kind of like a battery, basically, for that energy. And when kind of backed into a corner, Zande tried to use all of that energy to open a void gate, drew way too much of it into the crystal tower. They calculated and worked out the crystal tower could withstand it, but the earth couldn't, and it just shattered and and all that. So it seems like when Dalamud was reactivated, the first thing it did was let like a huge amount of that solar energy just straight down into the citadel. Yeah, so looking at it, we've got a pretty like good idea of what the calamity that destroyed Allag would have looked like.
Yeah, just on a smaller scale.
Cool. Yeah, on a smaller scale, yeah. But like looking at it, like that's what that's what Mordona would have looked like,
Yes.
5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I like visual representation, especially because if Forspoken ends up being the name of the next expansion, as is, people are still wondering if that actually is.
Yeah. So it seems to be a new IP.
Which is, I've heard people say that it's going to be the name of Luminus's game instead, which is a new IP.
Yeah.
So I've seen that claim.
They've taken they've grabbed like a Twitter handle for it and stuff. So it seems like it's not just going to be Final Fantasy 14.
You know what? That worked for predicting 16 in the past.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I think that's probably about right, but
a safe assumption.
Yeah, hard to say.
Now, while we're on that topic, I'd like to remind you that sometime in the next 10 days, the Final Fantasy 16 teaser site will be live with tidbits about the characters and stuff. So we might have to have a little discussion. Depending on the volume, because it won't be like anything Matsuno did. So if there's any reasonable volume, we may have to have a discussion about it.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm gonna be making
I couldn't believe so many people took that seriously.
I'm so proud of myself. Like, you have no idea. If nothing else I produce ever goes viral like that again, I can die happy. I'm so I'll be making a lore video about everything we know about the lore of Final Fantasy 16 so far when they come out with that site. So if we want to do a TBG to have like a denser kind of discussion about that, then I'd be down for that.
Depending on the volume, again, we should, because we'll probably be following that very closely in its development.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know if there's much more. Like, again, we could spend all day just like talking about each of these characters and every little thing that we've learned about Landis, about Bozja, about Dalmasca, about all these, these new institutions, these mage knights, the Path of the Verdant, the I can't remember the name of them yet off the top of my head, but the nomadic Elizan clan that sort of wanders through Ilzabard. There's so much stuff here, but I think we've covered all the big, important strokes.
I'd say so. Discord's starting to shit itself, so the sooner the better that we probably wrap things up. I don't know why it's shitting itself, but it is. So
classic.
Oh boy.
All right. Well,
shall we?
Yeah, shall we? We shall end. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this lore explanation for Bozja. Now, given the next show, I don't know when Ethys wants to do Erzivia in particular. He said he thinks he can be ready by next week.
If it's not next week, it'll be the week after, guys. So we'll, presuming you guys don't already have something set up for the week after.
No, we don't. We're waiting till we're done with kind of these core shows. Then we have some shows that are in the backlog that we need to get to that we've already arranged. Right. So
okay, so here's where I'm at the moment. I am editing my basically playthrough of the Bozja story, and at the side I'm basically making my notes as I go through. So if I'm making good progress on that in the next couple of days, then we will do the lore show next week. But basically I'll let you guys know within the next couple of days whether or not that's going to be realistic. Sound good?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Oh, and chat's bringing something up that, by the way, we've known since this morning. It was on the Japanese forums when I woke up at like 5:30 in the morning. They're changing the time, the prep time for cash run from 1 minute to 6 minutes.
Good.
So that way, if you're in a CE, you can finish the CE and then get in.
Go and get your actions and.
Yeah. Too bad that doesn't solve any of the 1v1 issues, but that's something. Yeah, they mentioned that on the JP forums this morning. That's just making the rounds in the Western accounts and everything now, though.
That's a relief.
It'll be a relief when I can spend 200 clusters on 1v1s. That'll be a relief.
Yeah, look, they'll think of something for the 1v1s. Whether it's that or whether I saw Mary was suggesting maybe like every time you don't get it, you get like a
point system.
You're basically more likely, some kind of point system where you're more likely to get it if you've kind of missed them, and then it resets once you get it. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm sure they'll think of something.
I just want that shit in the rest of the world.
Exactly.
When I go into 6.0 Fates, I want to see critical engagements and duels.
Yes, please. Absolutely. That would be phenomenal. Do it retroactively. Give it to us for like era primals. Like, God, that'd be so good. I would love that.
All right. Yeah, it's a pity system. Yeah, I played Genshin. I know all about pities. I played gacha games. I know all about pity systems. That's essentially what it is. All right. Okay.
Outstanding.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this week's episode of State of the Realm. We'll keep you up to date on when the Erzivia will be. We'll cover all of 5.3. That includes stuff that we talked about on our lore episode a couple months ago. So I can't wait for us to get it wrong. Hey, that is what we're here for. So we can get it wrong and you can learn what's right. Thank you again to our sponsors, Steel Series, we mentioned at the start of the show. Of course, we also had our patrons whose names have been scrolling in the top right the entire time. I didn't even bother. I think it's actually this way because my camera's reversed, but I can never remember. We had some new patrons that aren't on that list because it all happened this morning. I don't have your names updated either, so I'll just do what's here. We have a Boggs, an Ethys, a Lone Lion, and a Dodge, all of which are new patrons of various tiers. And of course a Linnea as well, whose name was from another day, but it's not on this list for some reason altogether. God, you know what? I didn't even hear you copy and pasting it until I tabbed back over. I literally was like, wow, it's so quiet right now. And then it fucking stop doing that. You're going to break Discord. They can't handle all the movement. All right. That's too Jersey for me. I'm not. So thank you to all of our patrons of Darkness, Khuja, Cross on Jenova, and Kurenai Oni. Thank you to both of them. Thank you to everyone whose name has been scrolling there and who's been supporting State of the Realm, the channel overall. And I fucking heard it that time. I heard it that time. No, you bullshit because I see 5 PogChamps from you.
Wasn't me.
All right, Shaggy.
I didn't ride on the PogChamps. It wasn't me. Didn't get all hyped up. It wasn't me. It was all the Twitch chat. It wasn't me. They just really like Patreon. It wasn't me. Okay. Guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Ethys. For those of you jabronis that don't follow me, I do lore videos on the YubTubs, youtube.com/EthysAsher. I make viral memes about Final Fantasy 16 characters on Twitter.com/EthysAsher. If you've heard of Shardbit, you're welcome. I stream on Twitch 7 days a week, twitch.tv/EthysAsher, all the other places, all the social medias. You can find me and check out the silly things that I do. And back here for more Eozivia very soon. So thank you. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the platform. Sly?
What's up? How you doing?
He wants to escape this show in particular so much.
God, you have no idea. Hi, I'm Sly. You can find me at twitch.tv/Sly, aka Grey Fox. You can find me on Twitter at Sly the Fox. Currently, I'm doing a lot of Bozja, working on leveling jobs and getting things from mainly getting runner secrets now, since those are pretty much the only things I need. Other than that, the usual. Yes, we are in a new season of Shin Megami Tensei Saturday. We have gone through the Velvet Room Diaries. We are back on mainline, and I am starting with Nocturne hard type because I hate myself, and you'll love to see that. Also, we always do Station WSOY, grooving you through the 70s and 80s of Japan every Saturday night.
Hell yeah!
So please look forward to that as well. Hey, Happy.
You can find me, Mr. Happy1227, at Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, doing a lot of Bozja right now. I've been surprised. One thing I want to say about the content since 5.3 came out, both my content on YouTube and my content and the content of the game, I have not played this much Final Fantasy 14 in quite some patches, and it's been a pleasure to make content about it and to be able to enjoy it with a vast array of people, whether it be White Mage tanking and Bozja are doing way too much Seed of Sacrifice. That's been both those things have been in my MO for the last several weeks, several months. It's been absolutely insane. On top of that, Genshin, I got the Klee banner in 2 hours, and I'll be pulling for that tomorrow. Don't you eye roll me. I've got 13,000 gems saved up. I've got like 15 fates ready to go. You need an intervention.
You need an intervention.
What do you mean? I played Defu! Dude, I got to do my free Defu pull for the day. Hold on. They got the campaign draw that's resetting daily right now.
I'm calling the police.
Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if I get... I got Arden's BT. I got 2 of them, actually. One from the free draw and one I got from a few. I got his LD right now. Oh, never mind. This is dead. Never mind. Hold on. It's not charged.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah. On top of that, Pokemon comes out later this week.
See you for the intervention tomorrow.
Crown Tundra comes out. I got to do some shiny hunting. We've got Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, November 12th. Demon Souls, November 12th on the PlayStation 5 for the release. So we got some fun stuff coming up. Yeah. So just remember, when it comes to Genshin Impact, don't wail on the game. Just simp your favorite streamer, and they'll wail on it for you. Okay. That's
except me. I don't do that shit. Don't even no.
Well, yeah, you have to already be playing. You don't pay them to play.
Yeah, I haven't even opened the game. I haven't even opened the game. That's how. Yeah. So,
opened would imply you've installed it.
I have installed it.
That's an admission you shouldn't have made.
Like it's been installed for ever since it was available.
You've made a mistake, sir. You have made a bad error.
No,
okay,
not gonna happen.
All right, and with that, I think we're good to wrap up the show. So we're gonna go on to a short post show, ladies and gentlemen, and then we'll be wrapping up. Sly, are you streaming after this? Do you have anything planned for the evening? You done for the day?
I sure am.
All right, there you go. And Ethys, I know, isn't. He needs to go to eat food and get to bed and whatnot. So go hang out with Sly for the rest of the afternoon once he goes live again. So thanks everyone for hanging out. We will see you for Erzivia next time on State of the Realm. So enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you next time. Until then,
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
See you soon.